this chair is a familiar one to you. But 10 years ago, when it was designed by Charles Eames, it was a revolutionary new chair, and I must say it caused quite a flurry. First introduced to the public at the Museum of Modern Art in an exhibit made up entirely of the Eames pieces, and since then many more styles of the original have been designed. Here are some of the current versions which grew from it, and the designer Charles Eames has become almost a household word. And this morning we would like very much for you to meet this very clever designer of this chair, who is really parents, I believe. Isn't this your first, Charles? We met a long time ago when you were living in beautiful sunny California. There must have been something very important that's brought you to New York. What is it?
You know, it'd have to be important to bring us away from home. We're in New York to introduce a new chair for Herman Miller. And we're here so that your home audience can get a first look at it.
Fine. Well, we're looking forward to this first look. And did you notice the way Mr. Eames said our and we? Well, that is, of course, because almost always when there's a successful man, there is a very interesting and able woman behind him. And a better case could seldom be found than in Ray and Charles Eames. Come on in, Ray. Hello, I'm so happy to see you. This is Mrs. Eames, and she's going to tell us how she helps Charles design these chairs. How do you manage that?
Well, aside from serving as an extreme in the testing of the chair, there are a million things. But I think the most difficult thing is to keep the big idea, to be able to look critically at the work. But actually this applies to everyone in the office, including Charles.
Yes, well, I think it's the best, it's almost the best thing to have in a working family is a critical viewpoint of your husband's work so that he can improve along with it. Otherwise, he might be stagnant or stand still, which is certainly not the case with Eames. I wonder if you'd tell us some of the highlights of your careers in designing these chairs. How did you happen to get started with chairs? Ray, do you want to say anything about it? All right, Charles.
Well, Ray was a painter. Ray worked here in New York with Hans Hofmann for a long time, which is a pretty good start. I'm an architect. I always had a background of an architect, and I don't know if you know, architects think that everything comes under the heading of architecture, whether it's chairs or space platforms, everything.
Yes, even dresses and
Oh, by all means, they have structure.
Everything is architecturally built. Well, I noticed that each of the chairs that we have here is slightly different in appearance from the original chair. I wonder if you're going to maybe take us through and show how the Eames chair has developed. And Ray, shall we let Charles do it, or do you want to help with it? No, you see, as I told you, she is behind the man, but terribly important. Thank you, Ray. All right, Charles, let's start with the first one right here, shall we?
I think this would be quite a chore. Actually, the molded plywood chairs are a result of a working with a mass production technique and, in a way, letting the mass production technique show through in the result. In the case of the plastic chairs, it's the object was to take a material which was a high-performance material developed during the war and try to make it available to householders at non-military prices. And
it's very practical, is it?
Well, they made shock helmets out of it. That would be pretty good. The wire and the upholstered wire pieces, these are, of course, old materials.
Yes.
But they're combined in a way to give a high strength, light weight, and high performance result. The things are different, but this doesn't mean the attitude is different. It's just that there was a different objective, in each case.
I noticed that you have some of them that revolve here.
Yes, these are pivot things.
The swivel chairs, which are most attractive and most useful. During the war, Mr. Eames' molded designs were they were adapted for splints, weren't they, for the boys? And then you continued along with your designs after that. Is there a basic theory of design for your chairs? Is there a basic theory you could talk to us about?
Well, there's one. I don't know whether I can talk about it. That is the attitude in all of them is really the same. We've never designed for a fashion or with the idea of fitting in a fashion, and The Herman Miller Furniture Company has never, ever requested that we do pieces for a market or for an annual thing, which is
You really
often the
create your
case.
own market, don't you?
Yes, and the timing is more or less our own. Sometimes it's too slow, but we are allowed then to follow it through. We do the graphics and presentation.
Yes, you say it's too slow, and yet you've done so much and so many and so much sooner than most people have. Designing interesting furniture, of course, is only part of the work that Charles and Ray Eames do. As I remember, your house shows very well the way you feel about living and the problems of design. And I think if we could see some pictures, Mr. Eames will tell us a little bit about the house. Here we are, Charles.
Well, Ray and I worked on it. We designed it together, of course. Recently, we've made a film on the house, and it's been released at the Museum of Modern Art. It's a series of films. The music for it was composed by Elmer Bernstein. It's a
Yes.
marvelous thing. Elmer just, he did the Man with the Golden Arm.
Ah,
and the music
marvelous
for the house
score it is, yes.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
This
all...
is beautiful and airy looking, isn't it, in this picture?
Well, we think so. It's sort of gotten to be like an old cave for us, but it's composed of standard factory units.
Standard factory units that don't look very standard or very factory in those pictures. That's what your beautification has done for them, you and Ray. You've also done some of the most fascinating toys, not only for children but for grown-ups as well. And we have something here. I wish you'd just tell us about it, will you?
Well, it's a house of cards done from things mainly picked up around our own house. So we just stay at
You mean the designs on the cards?
Yeah, they're all
And this is sold to buy for children to build their own private houses
children,
with?
yes, but there's no limit on the age, of course.
Adults are children anyway in many respects, aren't they? And of course you've been working on the picture, The Spirit of St. Louis. I'm curious about what you did precisely with that picture, Charles.
Well, I worked with Billy Wilder, the director. He's a great man, and
Indeed.
it's going to be a real good picture. I didn't make the furniture for Jimmy Stewart or anything like that. No, I was working with Billy and then directed for him some second unit work, mainly the construction of the aeroplane.
Is it going to be an exact replica of the one that's in the Smithsonian?
Well, Charles Lindbergh couldn't tell the difference.
Well, if he can't tell the difference, it must be pretty accurate. Charles, we know about the materials that you have used for your chairs and that they're basically molded wood and plastics, as you've shown us, and fiberglass and wire and so forth, and some upholstered parts. But I think now it would be very nice if we can preview your newest chair. Why don't we just go up here and have a little preview of this? Well, that is quite a departure, Charles, and it looks wonderfully comfortable. Tell us something about it.
Well, it's rosewood plywood, and it's black leather, and its insides are all feathers and down. But I think it'd be a better idea if we would just build it for you right here, and you could see something about it.
Can we see
It's a
this
very
being
simple
built? Well,
matter,
all right,
I
let's
think
put
so.
it together. saying to Charles that I expected when the man's face turned around it was going to be Charlie Chaplin or somebody. Didn't it look exactly like those old movies and the
This is a typical Herman Miller employee.
Well, it's just great. You know, I remember a quotation about this unusual couple that I read some time ago. I think describes it beautifully. I may not remember it accurately, but it said that Eames' desire to move freely in a world of enormous and unlimited possibilities is combined with a very accurate sense of discrimination and taste, which of course we always see. This is an ability to select among the unlimited possibilities and return considerable richness to the world, which you both have done. And thank you for being here and showing us your things this morning.